Act 2 of He and She by Rachel Crothers. Time 4 months later, about 9 in the evening. The living room in the Hereford house. The room is long and wide, dignified and restful in proportions. At center back, a large fireplace with a severe mantel in cream marble. A wide window covers the entire left wall, and wide doors at right lead into the library. A single door at back, left of fireplace, leads into hall. The walls are hung in a soft dull silk, which throws out the strong simple lines of the woodwork. A bright wood fire is burning, and soft lights throw a warm glow over the gray carpet and the furniture, which is distinguished and artistic, but distinctly comfortable, giving the room the air of being much lived in and used. At curtain, the room is empty a moment. Daisy is singing in the library at right. Ellen, a maid, middle-aged and kindly, comes from hall, carrying a silver coffee service. Daisy, as she comes in from library.
Here's your coffee, girls. Come in here. Put the flowers over there, Ellen.
Ellen moves the vase of flowers and makes room for the coffee service on table right center. Ruth comes in from the library with a book. Ellen goes to fire and pokes it, then straightens the writing things on the desk.
Anne, here's your coffee.
Anne, calling from library.
I don't want any, thank you. What time is it, Daisy?
About 9. Why?
Oh, the postman. I'm waiting for the last mail.
Well, don't. A watched pot, you know.
To Ruth.
She's watched every mail for a week. I almost think Anne will be more disappointed than Tom himself if he doesn't get the commission.
They take their coffee to the fire. I hope to goodness he does. Everybody's so dead sure of him.
Almost too sure. I'm beginning to be frightened myself. The time's about up.
Anne, hurrying in from the library.
That's the postman, isn't it?
No, ma'am. Begging your pardon. It ain't. I'm listening too.
Are you, Ellen? Keep on and bring it up the minute it comes.
Faith, I will. I've got the habit myself lately of watching for the mail.
Have you?
Every time I hear the whistle, I drop whatever I'm doing like it was hot and run.
Do you?
And just before I open the door, I say, "The holy saints be praised, I hope it's come this time," whatever it is they're looking for.
She goes out through the hall.
Oh, dear. It gets worse as the time grows shorter.
Anne, working yourself up like this won't make Tom get the commission. Stop thinking about it.
But I can't, Daisy Dimple. He ought to hear tonight if he's ever going to.
Well, I'll be glad when it's all over and we know one way or the other, and can settle down to ordinary life again. It's almost given me nervous indigestion.
Listen, there's the postman.
Ruth, jumping so that her cup and saucer almost fall. Oh, Anne, you're getting me so excited. I'll listen for the postman all the rest of my life.
I know I shall. Oh, Tom must get it. He must. If he does, I'll wire Millicent.
Taking up a picture of Millicent, which stands in a frame on the table.
I think I'll run up to school Sunday just to give her a good hug. I get so hungry for her.
Isn't it splendid the school is so really what it ought to be?
Yes. So much that's sweet and right that one can't get in New York for a girl.
Daisy, sewing on a frock which is nearly finished.
She seems pretty keen about it herself.
Yes, rather. Easter vacation, when I was working day and night to get my models off, she was perfectly contented to stay at school.
She's an adorable kitty, but I don't envy you your job.
Why?
I think being a mother is the most gigantic, difficult, important, and thankless thing in the world.
That's the most sensible remark I ever heard you give vent to, Ruth.
There's something much more glorious in it than being thanked. You'll miss the most wonderful thing in the world, Ruth, if you don't have children.
I know. But work has taken that all out of me. It does, you know. It would bore me stiff to take care of a baby.
That's a pleasant prospect for Keith. Do you expect him to do it?
Ruth, making herself comfortable on the couch. I'm not going to have children. Anne, going to sit at the fire.
That's perfectly fair if he knows. No reason why you should if you don't want him.
Well, I think it's a rotten way to live.
Wait till you decide to marry somebody yourself, young lady, and see how you like giving up everything that interests you most.
Well, by Jove, if I ever do marry, I'll marry and do all the things that belong to my side of the game. No halfway business for me. You might as well be a man's mistress and be done with it.
Ruth, half serious, half joking. That's the ideal relationship for a man and woman. Each to keep his independence in absolutely every way, and live together merely because they charm each other. But somehow we don't seem to be able to make it respectable.
I suppose that's very clever and modern.
Oh no, it's as old as the everlasting hills. The trouble is, children are apt to set in and mess things up. It's hard on them.
So far as I can see, most everything that's modern is hard on children.
How's the gown getting on, Daisy?
Most finished.
That's awfully pretty.
Slip it on so we can see.
Oh, I can't.
Anne, rising and walking to Daisy.
Yes, you can. Over that one. Just to give us an idea.
I'll look a tub and it really makes me quite respectably straight up and down.
You're a perfectly scrumptious size and shape. Isn't she, Ruth?
Magnificent.
Yes, Ruth, skinny women always enthuse over their fat friends.
Ruth, rising, and goes to Daisy. Oh, you aren't fat, Daisy. That is, not too fat. How does this go? It's terribly complicated, isn't it?
No, perfectly simple. Wait, this goes over here.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Yes, it does, right there. Don't you see? The style of the whole gown depends on that.
You must have it on wrong side before.
Nonsense. Can't you see, Anne? It's as simple as can be.
Yes, I know, dear. But does this go on the shoulder or down on the hip?
They all talk at once for a moment on the subject of where the end of the girdle fastens.
Oh, here. I see, of course. There.
Now, does it make me look big?
You want to look big, don't you?
Well, I want to look life-size. Don't you see how much better I am through here than I was last year, Anne?
Touching her hip.
Much. The female form divine is improving all the time. Anyway, gradually getting back to what it was in the beginning.
I don't expect to look like you in it, Ruth.
Oh, don't you, dear? Then why don't you have it stick out this way as much as possible so everybody will know you mean to look broad? There's everything in that, you know.
I think it would be awfully good on you to fill out what you haven't got. Then everybody would know you didn't mean to look so narrow, even if you are.
You're both delightful. Perfect specimens of your types. When I look at Ruth, I think the most alluring charm a woman can have is beautiful bones without a superfluous ounce of flesh on them. And when I look at you, Daisy, I think, after all, there's nothing so stunning as a big, strong girl with perfectly natural lines. So natural that we know she'd be even better looking with no clothes on at all.
Heavens, Anne, your sculptor's eye is a little embarrassing.
Evidently you think my clothes help me out a good deal. But at least I'm free and comfortable, too. Can you touch the floor, Daisy?
Of course.
The two women bend, touching the floor with the tips of their fingers. Tom, Remington, and Keith come in from the hall.
What's going on?
What are you trying to do, Ruth? Swim or fly?
We're just saying that the waist measure expands as we broaden in our ideas.
Is that the fashion now?
Yes, broad and free.
That's one thing you women have to acknowledge men have more sense about than you have.
What?
What?
Our figures. We've had the same shape since the Garden of Eden, and you've had hundreds of absolutely different kinds.
Turn around, Daisy. I want to try something.
She accidentally sticks a pin into Daisy's shoulder.
Ouch!
Oh, I'm sorry. You seem to be so close to your clothes.
What are you doing to her?
She's sticking pins into me.
For her own good. Isn't that pretty?
What?
The frock.
Is that new?
Which?
Do you mean to say you don't realize I have on something different from what I wore at dinner?
No use dressing for Keith. He never sees anything.
I'm going to undress now. Perhaps that will interest you more.
Anne begins to unfasten the gown.
Much more.
Was that the postman?
No, it was not.
The postman habit is getting on my nerves. You're all jumping and listening till you'll have St. Vitus dance if you don't stop.
How can we help it?
After all, a few other competitions have been lost and won, and people have lived through it. It's not the only thing in life.
You'd think it was if you had $100,000 at stake.
Ellen comes in from hall and takes out the coffee tray.
Aren't we going to have some bridge? Who wants to play? I know you do, Daddy.
I have to get even with you for that last rubber, Tom.
You can't do it.
I want to play with you, Doctor.
Come on.
I'm afraid to play against you. Remington, turning at the library door.
What's that?
What?
The postman.
Oh!
Ruth and Daisy go into library right with Remington. Anne, to Tom and Keith.
Coming?
You go, Keith. I want to look at the paper a minute.
No, my game's no good. You go.
Now don't stay out here and listen and wait. If there is any mail, Ellen will bring it up straight.
I won't. I'll be with you in 2 minutes.
Anyway, tonight doesn't necessarily decide it. There may be still 2 or 3 more days. Isn't that so, Keith?
Yes, I think so.
Remington, Ruth, Daisy, calling from the library.
Come on.
Coming.
She goes in.
That's straight. I do think so.
A pause. Tom reads.
Don't you?
I'm trying to, but these last few days of waiting have been...
Don't lose your nerve, Hereford. I'm just as sure as I was the first day. If by any wild chance you don't get it, it will be a fluke.
Oh, no, not by any means. The men judging this know. I'd trust them with anything. The fellows who lose will have no kick coming on that score.
Well, I don't see how you can lose.
A man's a fool to let himself count on an uncertainty. I don't mean that I've lost sight of the fact that I might lose, not for a second, but I confess, as the time has grown shorter, I've realized I want it even more than I thought I did.
Of course you want it. Aside from the glory, it's an awful lot of money. Governor, an awful lot of money.
It is. It would put us straight. Clear up the house entirely and make it possible to do the things a fellow wants to do. That's what I'm after. Then, no more competitions for me, thank you. Is that the phone? I'm as bad as Anne, jumping and listening. Damn it! I want to know, one way or the other.
Of course you do. The cursed waiting is enough to make you cut your throat.
Ellen, opening the hall door.
The telephone for Mr. Hereford.
Who is it?
I couldn't just get the name, sir.
Want me to go?
If you don't mind, old man.
Ellen goes out. Keith, starting to the door and turning.
It couldn't be. You wouldn't get word that way, would you?
Huh? Oh, nonsense. No, nonsense. I'll go. No, You go, old man. That's not it. Of course.
Tom listens a moment, showing a tense anxiety. Ruth, coming in from the library. They're waiting for you, Tom. The cards are dealt. Where's Keith?
He'll be back in a minute.
Aren't you going in?
Why don't you take my place? I don't feel a bit...
I did offer to, but Dr. Remington said he would like to play bridge this evening, not teach it. Wouldn't it be seventh heaven to speak the truth on all occasions, as unconcernedly as Dr. Remington does? Imagine the sheer bliss of letting go and spitting it all out. Have you ever counted the lies you told in just one day, Tom?
No, I've never had the time.
Tom starts to go into the library and turns to see if Ruth is coming. No, I'm going to wait for Keith. Tom goes in. Ruth reads for a moment. Keith, coming back from the hall.
That was...
What?
Millicent. Or her school, or something. Such a bad connection. They're going to call again in a few minutes. Is that dress new, dear?
I've had it 3 years.
It's awfully pretty. I wish you'd wear it all the time.
I do.
Aren't we going in to play?
No, I don't feel like it. Come and sit down, dear. Oh, are you going to sit way over there?
Not specially.
Drawing chair near the couch. Keith sits facing Ruth. Comfortable?
Not very.
Have you read this?
No. Any good?
Yes, good enough. She rises, going to the fireplace.
What's the matter? I thought you wanted to talk. Where are you going?
No place.
You got the fidgets too?
Sort of.
Well, stop it. Hereford's going to be all right. There'll be news in a day or so now.
I wasn't thinking of that. I have something to tell you.
Then why don't you come and tell it?
And if you aren't fine about it, it will be the greatest disappointment in my whole life. Going to Keith and putting a hand on his shoulder.
You mean, if I don't think just what you want me to about it? Go on. I suppose I know anyway.
Then if you do, but you don't. It's so wonderful you couldn't guess, and you just have to see it the right way, because if you don't, it would mean you're what I know you're not. Down in your real soul, Keith, you're generous and fair and right.
Suppose you communicate it to me first, and discuss my soul afterwards.
Ruth, sitting on couch facing Keith. Well, oh, you will be sweet, won't you, Keithy?
I can see it's going to be something very pleasant for me.
It is, if you...
It's wonderful if I'm not a fool and a pig. Yes, I know. Go on. Go on.
Now don't begin that way. Please, dear, don't shut up your mind before I even tell you.
Suppose you do tell me.
Well, last week there was a row in the office over a matter concerning the policy of the magazine, and I differed with all the men in my department. At last I was sent for by the editor-in-chief. He was terribly severe at first, and I was frightened to pieces. But I stuck to my guns, and bless your soul, he sent for me again today, and said they had had a meeting of the directors, and that they decided... Oh, it's too...
What? What?
They had decided to make me editor of the woman's magazine. Fighting back her tears. Isn't it funny?
And I suppose all this introduction means you accepted? Without even asking me?
Why, of course. Oh, Keith, don't you understand what this means to me?
I understand that, unless it means more to you than I do, you wouldn't hesitate a minute to chuck it.
It's hopeless. We'll never, never see it the same way.
You've never made the slightest effort to see it my way.
What you ask of me is to cut off one half of my life and throw it away. What I ask of you is only an experiment, to let me try and see if I can't make things comfortable and smooth and happy for us, and still take this big thing that has come as a result of all my years of hard work and fighting for it.
You'll never stop if you don't now. Once you get deeper in, you'll be swamped, eaten up by it.
Don't, Keith. I can't bear it. It's too unutterably selfish. Keith, rising and pushing his chair away.
All right, I'm selfish, but I'm human, and I'll bet my hat I'm just like every 9 men out of 10. What in the name of heaven does loving a girl amount to if you don't want to take care of her from start to finish? A man's no good if he doesn't feel that way, I tell you. He's a pup and ought to be shot.
Ruth, rising. But what about me and what I want and have to have in order to be happy?
That's it. That is the point. You won't be happy without it. You want the excitement of it, that hustle and bustle outside.
I want it just as you want your work, and you haven't any more right to ask me to give up mine than I have to ask you to stop yours.
You simply don't love me.
What rot! What nonsense!
You don't love me.
It's hopeless. You've decided then. You won't compromise. So we'll end it.
What do you mean?
Ruth, going to the hall door. You've made your own choice. We'll end it now. Keith, following her.
No, Ruth. I won't give you up.
You have. You have given me up.
Ruth, wait.
It's best, Keith. Don't hate me. You'll see it's best in a little while. We'll learn to be friends. I want you to be happy, dear boy. I do. And I couldn't make you so. We'll end it now. It's the best for both of us.
Ruth!
She goes out quickly, closing the door. Keith turns to the fire. Daisy, knocking and opening the library door.
Excuse me. May I come in to get my sewing? Where's Ruth?
Keith, with his back to Daisy.
don't know.
Well, don't bite my head off. I can always tell when you and Ruth have been discussing the emancipation of women.
Sitting below table and taking her dress to sew.
You all think you're superior beings.
Of course.
Keith, beginning to walk about.
Yes, you do. You're just as bad as the rest of them. Worse. The minute a woman makes enough to buy the clothes on her back, she thinks she and God Almighty are running the earth, and men are just little insects crawling around.
Daisy laughs.
Oh, you can laugh. It's so. And you know it. Every one of you that have got the bee in your bonnet of doing something, are through with men. Look at you. You've cut men out entirely, and you think you're too smart to marry one. Now, don't you? Isn't that the reason?
Daisy, threading her needle.
Don't bullyrag me. Say it all to Ruth.
I tell you, it's all rot. Business for women. Ugh. It spoils every one of you. Why aren't you in a home of your own instead of hustling for your bread and butter? It's because you're too damned conceited. You think you know more than any man you ever saw, and you think you don't need one? You wait. You'll see. Someday.
Going back to the fire.
You amuse me.
There you are. That's about what I'm for.
There's a button off your coat. Looks horrid.
I know. I've got it.
Putting his finger in waistcoat pocket.
Have you got it there?
Keith shows her the button.
Come here, I'll do it.
Never mind. I'll nail it on.
Come here.
Keith goes slowly to her.
You'll have to take your coat off. It's bad luck to sew anything on you.
Oh.
Go on, take it off.
Keith takes off his coat reluctantly and watches Daisy as she examines the coat.
Good gracious, the lining's ripped too.
Yes.
Poor old fellow. Are these some of your stitches?
Keith, drawing the chair from center and sitting left before Daisy.
What's the matter with 'em?
Looks like carpet thread.
Snipping some threads.
See, I'll just draw this together and that'll be all right.
She begins to sing an old ditty. Keith gradually hums with her, keeping time with his hands and feet, and relaxing into a good humor. Keith, soothed for a moment.
How does it happen you're so handy with a needle? I thought you were all for business.
Well, I can sew a button on if you can.
I tell you, it changes all women. Business. They make a little money themselves and want luxury, and won't live without it.
Sometimes, yes. But there are lots and lots and lots of women taking care of themselves, putting up the bluff of being independent and happy, who would be so glad to live in a little flat and do their own work, just to be the nicest thing in the world to some man.
Wouldn't you think that Ruth would like that better than the office?
No, not the lamplight and the needle for Ruth. Keith, don't ask her to give up her work. Don't you see, she's more clever in her way than you are in yours. She'll go further, and if you make her stop, she'll hate you someday because she'll think you've kept her back. That's a hard thing to say, but it's the truth.
You mean I'm a failure?
No, I don't mean that, Keith.
I work. Gosh, how I work. But I'll never do anything. Why haven't I got what Mrs. Hereford's got? She sent models off for this frieze that any man would be proud to send. Why couldn't I?
Seems kind of mixed up and unfair, doesn't it?
You bet it's unfair. I work like a dog and never get anywhere. If Ruth throws me over, I'll never have the home I'm working for. That's what I want. A home. I'll never have it now.
Oh, yes, you will.
I'm done for.
No, you're not. There are too many women in the world who could love you.
I'm no good.
Some women might think that the way you work and your honesty and loyalty are the greatest things a man can have. Some woman might use all her cleverness and ingenuity to make the little flat beautiful, to show you what your own home could be, to give you a better dinner than you thought you could afford.
Keith, sitting with his head in his hands.
Oh, that kind of a woman is a thing of the past.
Oh, no, they're not. They're lying around thick. The trouble is, a woman can't ask. Even if a man is just at her hand, and she knows she could make him happy. She can't tell him. She can't open his eyes. She has to hide what might make things right for both of them, because she's a woman.
Oh, love doesn't cut much ice with a woman. Women are all brains nowadays.
That's enough to use all the brains a woman's got, to make a home, to bring up children, and to keep a man's love.
Keith, raising his head slowly and looking at Daisy.
I never expected to hear you say a thing like that. There's some excuse in you being in business.
Yes, of course.
Rising and holding the coat.
I'm not the marrying kind.
Keith, getting into the coat.
Much obliged. Would you be willing to give up work and marry a man on a small salary? If you loved him.
You make me laugh.
What's the matter, Daisy?
Nothing.
I never saw tears in your eyes before. Women are funny things.
Yes, we're funny. There's only one thing on earth funnier.
What?
Men.
Remington, coming in from the library.
Did I leave my other glasses in here?
Daisy, beginning to look for them.
I haven't seen them.
I've lost one game because I didn't have them, and I don't propose to give him another.
What a shame. Help look for them, Keith.
I'm pretty blind, but thank God not quite as bad as you, Keith.
What? There's nothing the matter with my eyes.
Remington, looking insinuatingly at Daisy.
Don't you think there is, Daisy?
Daisy, trying to look unconscious.
Are you sure you left those glasses in here?
It's as bad a case of short-sightedness as I ever saw.
Oh.
The doctor holds her and turns her, pushing her toward Keith.
Daisy, don't you see that queer, blind look in his eyes?
No, I don't.
What do you mean?
Remington laughs.
Do you see the joke, Daisy?
It's no joke, is it, Daisy?
I don't know what on earth you're talking about. I'm going to get those glasses.
Going to hall door.
You probably left them in your coat in the hall. In your hall in the coat.
That's all right, Daisy. We know what you mean. At least I do.
Oh, you...
Ellen comes in from hall.
What is it, Ellen?
The telephone, Miss Hereford.
For me?
They said any one of the family.
I'll go.
She goes out, followed by Ellen.
There's a woman who knows how to take care of a man.
I'm afraid that's not her object in life. They all have something else to do.
What's the matter with you?
I'm done for.
Ruth, you mean?
She won't marry me unless she goes on working.
She's right, too.
What?
Of course. You haven't any more right to ask that clever little woman to throw away half her life and to be the tail to your kite than you have to ask her to cut her throat. Open your eyes and look around. There are always other women.
Oh, never. Never in the world for me.
I give you about 3 months.
Do you think I could ever?
Certainly I do. Look at Daisy, for instance. A fine, sweet, wholesome girl with no kinks and no abnormal ambitions.
Daisy?
Don't blow your brains out for a couple of days. Talk it over with her. She thinks you're about the finest thing going.
What?
Fact. Don't try to hold on to the woman who's getting away from you, but take the one who is coming your way.
You're crazy, mad as a hatter. What are you giving me?
Just a little professional advice, free. She's head over heels in love with you, I tell you.
Daisy, coming in from hall in great excitement. She has a case for glasses in her hand.
Dr. Remington, that was long distance. They telephoned from school that Millicent has gone.
Gone?
Gone where?
Left school suddenly tonight without saying a word to anyone.
What?
As soon as they knew, they phoned the station and found she had taken the train for New York.
What train?
The one that gets here at 9 o'clock.
Keith, looking at his watch.
It's 9:15 now.
Shall I tell Anne?
No, wait. We'll give her 15 minutes more to get to the house. No use frightening Anne.
Do you think she is coming home?
Why do you say that, Keith? What put such an idea into your head?
Why wouldn't she say so? Wire or write or something?
Oh, it's too horrible. Doctor, oughtn't we to tell them now?
No.
But we're wasting time. What if she shouldn't come?
I think I'll dash down to the station anyway. The train might be late.
No. They'll ask where you'd gone. Wait 15 minutes. I think she'll be here. I don't want to frighten.
Anne comes in from the library.
Well, I never saw people so wildly keen about playing as you are. What's the matter with you?
I've been waiting all this time. For my glasses. Come on, Daisy.
Taking the glasses from Daisy, he goes into library.
You look worried, Daisy.
No, I'm only...
Ellen, coming in from hall with 8 letters on a small tray.
The mail, Mrs. Hereford.
Oh,
She snatches the letters, taking off the 3 top ones.
it's come, Tom's letter.
What?
Ellen goes out through hall left center.
It is as true as I live.
Great Scott!
Then he's got it. He's got it.
Shh, ask him to come here.
It's too good to be true. It's too good.
Daisy goes into the library.
I can't tell you how glad I am, Mrs. Hereford. I can't tell you.
Anne, scarcely able to speak.
Ask him to come here.
Keith, going into library.
Mrs. Hereford wants you, Governor.
Tom, within.
Come and play, Anne.
Anne, throwing the other letters on the table.
Come here just a minute, Tom, please.
Tom, coming to door.
What is it?
Shut the door. It's come.
Showing the letter. Tom opens and reads it. A look of sickening disappointment comes into his face.
No? Oh, Tom.
I was their second choice.
Oh, Tom. Don't take it like that. What difference does it make after all? You know you did a big thing. It's all luck, anyway.
I'll pull up in a minute. Well, it means taking hold of something else pretty quick. Going at it again.
Yes. Keeping at it, that's it. What a terrible lot chance has to do with it.
Oh no, that isn't it.
Yes, it is too.
No, I failed. I didn't get it, that's all.
You'll do something greater next time because of this.
Taking her hand.
You're a brick. Now see here, don't you be cut up about this. It's not the end of everything, you know. Stop that. You're not crying, I hope.
No, I'm not. Of course I'm not. Oh, my boy. I never loved you so much. Never believed in you as much as I do now. This is only a little hard place that will make you all the stronger.
Dear old girl, what would I do without you? I'll tell the others and get it over.
Rising, he stops, staring at one of the letters on the table.
Anne!
Tom, taking up a letter.
Anne, here's one for you, too.
What?
She tears open the letter.
Tom, they've given the commission to me. Look, read it. Is that what it says? Is it? Now aren't you glad you let me do it? You haven't lost. We've got it. Say you're glad. Say you're proud of me, dear. That's the best part of it all.
Of course I am, dear. Of course I am.
Oh, Tom, I wanted you to get it more than I ever wanted anything in my life. But this is something to be thankful for. Doesn't this almost make it right?
Yes, dear, yes. Don't think of me. That's over, that part of it. Tell the others now.
Wait.
Aren't you going to?
I only want to be sure that you're just as happy that I won as I would have been if you had.
Of course I am. You know that.
Kissing her.
Tell the others then, Tom. I can't.
Tom, opening the library doors.
What do you think has happened?
Daisy, rushing in.
Tom got it. Didn't you, Tom? You did. You did. Oh, I'm so glad.
She kisses him. Keith, following Daisy in.
Well, Governor, what did I tell you?
Remington, in doorway.
Pretty fine, isn't it?
You tell them, Tom.
Anne got it.
What?
Isn't it great?
You won't believe it. But you can see the letter. Now, Father, don't you think getting that is better than being nursemaid and housekeeper? Now, don't you honestly?
I do not.
What?
I do not.
Oh, I can laugh at your theories now. You haven't got a leg to stand on, has he, Tom? Be a dear father and say you're glad.
I'm not. I'd rather you'd failed 1,000 times over, for your own good. What are you going to do with Millicent while you're making this thing?
How can you be so hard and narrow, Father?
What if you did win? You've got something far greater than making statues to do.
Doctor, you're excited.
Not a bit. I'm only telling the truth. This is your business, you know, and it would have been far better for both of you if you'd won the thing.
I don't see the argument. Anne got it because she sent in a better model than I did. I don't see that anything else has anything to do with the case.
Tom goes out through hall. Anne, turning to sit on the couch.
At least Tom's glad I got it.
He's stung to the quick. You've humiliated him in his own eyes.
He goes to the fireplace.
I can't understand why you feel this way about it, Father.
Oh, it's natural enough.
Anne, turning to Daisy in amazement.
Aren't you glad for me, Daisy?
Yes, but I'm awfully sorry for Tom.
She goes out through hall.
What's the matter with them all, Keith?
Oh, as Daisy says, it's natural, Mrs. Hereford.
He goes out after Daisy. Remington, coming down to Anne.
Daughter, I'm afraid I was a little too stiff just now. I didn't mean to be unkind.
Anne, rising and starting to hall door.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Remington, stopping her.
Yes, it does matter. I wouldn't hurt you for the world.
But you've always fought me, Father. You never thought I had any right to work. Never believed in my ability. Now that I've proved I have some, why can't you acknowledge it?
Anne, this is a dangerous moment in your life. Tom's beaten, humiliated, knocked out. You did it. He can't stand it.
What have I done? Tom has a big nature. He's not little and petty enough to be hurt because I won.
You're blind. He's had a blow tonight that no man on earth could stand.
Not Tom. I won't believe that.
Yes, I say. I know what I'm talking about. Anne, be careful how you move now. Use your woman's tact, your love. Make Tom know that he is the greatest thing in the world to you, that you'd even give up all this work idea if he wanted you to.
What? Tom wouldn't let me.
Ask him. Ask him. See what he'd say.
Why, I wouldn't insult him. He'd think I thought he was...
Tom comes in from the hall. Anne checks herself and turns away quickly to fire. Tom, after a pause.
What's the matter?
Nothing. Anne and I were just having a little argument as usual. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Looking at his watch, he goes into hall. Tom, going slowly to Anne.
I hope you're not still fighting about your freeze.
They're all so funny, Tom. The way they act about it. It hurts. But as long as you're glad, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Say you're glad, dear. I want you to be as happy as I would have been if you had won.
You know I am, dear. You know that.
Anne, with a sigh of relief, Anne sits at left of fire.
Think how I'll have to work. I can't even go to the country in the summer.
Tom, sitting opposite Anne at the fire.
And what will you do with Millicent this summer?
Oh, there are lots of nice things for her to do. The money. Think what it will mean to you.
Let me tell you one thing, Anne, in the beginning. I'll never touch a penny of the money.
What?
Not a cent of it.
What are you talking about?
That's your money. Put it away for yourself.
I never heard you say anything so absolutely unreasonable before in my life.
If you think I'm unreasonable, all right. But that's understood about the money. We won't discuss it.
Well, we will discuss it. Why shouldn't you use my money as well as I yours?
That's about as different as day and night.
Why is it?
Because I'm taking care of you. It's all right if you never do another day's work in your life. You're doing it because you want to. I'm doing it because I've got to. If you were alone, it would be a different thing. But I'm here, and so long as I am, I'll make what keeps us going.
But I'll help you.
No, you won't.
I will. I'm going on just as far as I have ability to go, and if you refuse to take any money I may make, if you refuse to use it for our mutual good, you're unjust in taking an unfair advantage. Oh, Tom, what are we saying? We're out of our senses, both of us. You didn't mean what you said, did you? It would... I simply couldn't bear it if you did. You didn't. Did you?
I did, of course.
Tom, after all these years of pulling together, now that I've done something, why do you suddenly balk?
Tom, rising.
Good heavens! Do you think I'm going to use your money? Don't try to run my end of it. It's the same old story. When you come down to it, a woman can't mix up in a man's business.
He moves away.
Mix up in it? Isn't it a good thing for you that I got this commission?
No, I don't know that it's a good thing from any standpoint to have it known that I failed and my wife succeeded.
I thought you said you were glad. Proud of me.
It's too distracting, too. Takes you away from more important things.
What things?
Millicent and me.
Oh, Tom, don't. You know that you and Millicent come before everything on earth to me.
No,
You do.
we don't now. Your ambition comes first.
Anne, she rises, going to him.
Tom, I worship you. You know that, don't you?
I'm beginning to hate this work and everything connected with it.
But you taught me, helped me, pushed me on. What's changed you?
I let you do it in the first place because I thought it was right. I wanted you to do the thing you wanted to do.
Well,
I was a fool. I didn't see what it would lead to. It's taking you away from everything else, and there'll be no end to it. Your ambition will carry you away till the home, and Millicent and I are nothing to you.
Tom, look at me. Be honest. Are you sorry? Sorry I got this commission?
I'm sorry it's the most important thing in the world to you.
Why do you say that to me? How can you?
Haven't I just seen it? You're getting rid of Millicent now because you don't want her to interfere with your work.
No.
You're pushing her out of your life.
No.
You said just now you were going to send her away alone in the summer. I don't like that. She's got to be with you. I want you to keep her with you.
But that's impossible. You know that. If I stop work now, I might as well give up on the freeze entirely.
Then give it up.
What?
Give up the whole thing, forever. Why shouldn't you?
Do you mean that?
Yes.
Tom, I love you. Don't ask this sacrifice of me to prove my love.
Could you make it? Could you?
Don't ask it. Don't ask it for your own sake. I want to keep on loving you. I want to believe you're what I thought you were. Don't make me think you're just like every other man.
I am a man, and you're my wife, and Millicent's our daughter. Unless you come back to the things a woman's always had to do, and always will, we can't go on. We can't go on.
Anne, following him around the table.
Tom, if you're just a little hurt, just a little jealous because I won,
Oh.
that's natural. I can understand that.
Oh, don't.
But oh, Tom, the other, to ask me to give it all up. I could never forgive that. Take it back, Tom. Take it back.
Good God, Anne, can't you see? You're a woman and I'm a man. You're not free in the same way. If you won't stop because I ask it, I say you must.
You can't say that to me. You can't.
I do say it.
No,
I say it because I know it's right.
it isn't.
I can't make you see it.
It isn't.
I don't know how, but everything in me tells me it's right.
Tom, listen to me.
If you won't do it because I ask you, I demand it. I say you've got to.
Tom, you can kill our love by just what you do now.
Then this work is the biggest thing in the world to you.
What is more important to us both? To our happiness than just that?
Millicent, calling outside door left center.
Mother!
A startled pause as Anne and Tom turn towards hall door.
Mother, I'm home. Where are you?
Millicent opens the hall door and rushes into the room.
Millicent, what are you doing here?
I came home, Mother.
Why?
Because I had to.
Are you ill, dear?
No.
Is anything wrong at school?
No, but I won't go back.
But why won't you? What's the trouble?
I won't go back.
But you can't do a thing like that. I won't allow it.
You wouldn't let me come home when I wanted to, and now I can't go back. I won't. Everything's different now. I won't go back, and you can't make me.
She turns and rushes out of the room, and Tom and Anne stare at each other as the curtain falls. End of Act 2.